I really struggled with finding a good name for this video. Pantry pasta, canned chicken pasta, apocalypse-proof pasta. Regardless of the name, they're all sort of meant to describe the same thing. This video is all about making a delicious, hearty, simple meal using non-perishable items found in the average person's pantry. Found me a tongue twister. Babe, I found me a tongue twister. Average person's pantry, average person's pantry, average person's pantry. What? Okay. And, believe it or not, as the title states, I was able to make some pretty decent meatballs out of canned chicken and a few other things using some pretty simple techniques. Hand to Zeus, these meatballs really don't suck. In the end of days, there isn't any electricity, so no blender today. Instead, we're going to use one of my favorite kitchen tools, the mortar and pestle. We need to use this guy for a couple components for our pasta, so for workflow's sake, we're going to just crush everything here that needs to be crushed. Starting with the chia seeds. Some seeds work great as a binder with a little bit of water added, so we'll use them to help bind our meatballs in this case. If you have flax seeds, those totally work too. Usually I'd use eggs for this case, but they're not shelf stable, so unless you're a farmer in the apocalypse, yeah. Now we're going to crush up the spice blend for our balls. The star of the show here is fennel seed. Fennel seeds are very aromatic and anisey, so like think licorice or star anise. But refrain from tweaking if you aren't a licorice fan. This flavor is fantastic mixed with other spices and irreplaceable when talking about Italian-style sausage or meatballs. Dried spices are excellent tools to have on deck in the kitchen. I prefer using them in soups, stews, or sauces, or anything really cooked or simmered for a long time. Woo! The last thing we'll crush up with this bad boy is the cashew parm. Big quotes around the parm. This stuff is really just smashed cashews with some nutritional yeast and salt. Some people also add garlic powder. Nutritional yeast, or nooch for short, is really just deactivated yeast with some clever marketing thrown behind it. Vegans have been using it as a cheese substitute forever. You can buy this stuff all over the place now and it keeps for a super long time. Throw together the cashews, nooch, salt, and boom. We'll call this our Parmesan replacement, perfect for doomsday. Now on to le meatballs. Canned chicken, the meat we'll be using for our meatballs, is dry as a rural county on a Sunday evening. To combat this, we're going to make what's called a panade by taking stale white bread or whatever bread you have around and adding liquid to it. Most of the time people use milk, but unless you're a farmer with a cow in the yard, you probably won't have milk in our post-apocalyptic world. So shelf-stable chicken stock it is. Dice up the bread, add a little stock to it, and smash it together with your hands until you have like a pasty mixture. That's a nice sound. To the panade, add in the ground dry spice mixture from earlier. Then pop in a bit of olive oil to help keep things nice and moist. Season up with a bit of salt and mix again. Now onto the piece de resistance. Canned chicken. Now, I grew up eating a lot of Spam and rice, and for some reason this stuff is still weird to me. Open the canned chickie and drain off the packing water. Then fork out the chicken from its tin maiden. You could even still see like the outline of the can on this thing. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that shimmer. Our chicken puck looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Alright, now break everything up with your hands into a fine shredded, like, chickie mixture. And this stuff resembles our cat's food so much that he would not stop bothering me for some, so I had to give the boy some dang chickie. With our shredded chicken and seasoned panade ready to rock, all we have to do now is mix and shape our bowls. Oh, but first add some warm water to the ground chia seeds and form a paste. Then add said paste to the balls and that'll act as our faux egg binder. Just continue mixing until everything looks incorporated. This recipe should make about 5 to 6 medium-sized balls. Just grab a portion and eyeball it to size. It's the apocalypse, so the size of your meatballs really shouldn't matter in the grand scheme. These are our balls. If mixed properly, they should hold their form. They're kinda cute. And in the apocalypse, there's no such thing as induction cooktops, so it's time to whip out our camp stove. Love me a camp stove. Time to make the sauce. We're going to make a rich sauce for our pasta and meatballs using crushed canned tomatoes as the base. Okay, so here's what we have. Dried spices, anchovies, tomato sauce, olive oil, fish sauce, and just a little bit of wine from the night prior. I'd imagine you're drinking it's the apocalypse. Place a medium saucepan over medium-low heat and lay in some olive oil. Believe it or not, anchovies play very nicely with tomatoes. To some of you, this might seem a little strange, but trust me, this will make the sauce an umami blaster. Add in 2 to 3 chovy fillets and break them up in the oil. Then add a pinch of dried chili flake, basil, thyme, and garlic powder. Do not skimp on the G-pow, it's an important piece. Now toast all the spices and herbs up in the oil for a minute or so. After your chovy, spices, and herbs are roasty toasty, pour in a glug of red wine. Don't worry on the exact type of red wine here. It's the apocalypse, so really use whatever you can get your hands on and reserve the rest for regular consumption. Reduce the wine mixture down for 2 to 3 minutes or until reduced by half, and then pour in the crushed canned tomatoes. Mix everything together and simmer on medium-low heat for 20 minutes to 2 hours. The longer the simmer, the richer and thicker the sauce. Once reduced to your fancy, cut the heat and drop in the canned chicken meatballs from earlier. There's no need to cook anything through here. We just want our balls to warm in the sauce and maybe absorb some of the deliciousness from said sauce. Plop them in, set them aside. Pasta time. Today we're going to use my favorite noodle pasta, bucatini. Think of bucatini as spaghetti's cooler, more experienced older brother. It's basically a thicker, more fun to eat version of spaghetti with a little hole running through the center. A cool trick to evenly place pasta in water is what I call the twist and drop. There's really no reason to do this other than the fact that it looks super dope. Now just cook the pasta to al dente or slightly underdone. 5 to 10 minutes, just follow the directions on the box. Be sure to reserve some starchy pasta water for later. We'll use this to finish the pasta. Once the pasta hangs over your tongs with a slight arch, your nudes are al dente and ready to drain. Now we're going to finish the pasta. This step is optional, but it makes for a perfectly sauced pasta every time, and it's a super good trick to know how to do. In a large saucepan over medium heat, transfer in a serving or 2 of the cooked pasta, then a couple spoonfuls of sauce. Then take the reserved starchy water and pour in half a cup or so. Swirl everything around until the pasta is coated in the sauce. The starchy water helps the sauce thicken slightly and cling to the noodles, more so than if you were to just mix the sauce in with the noodles. See? Proper clingage. Alright, we made it. It's time to munch. Serve up a portion or 2 of the finished pasta and scoop a couple balls right in there. If you decided to make the cashew parm, dust however much you'd like over the top. If you're lucky enough to have an herb garden in the apocalypse, you can totally sprinkle some of those over too. If you're feeling like an animal, add a little extra sauce on top. And we are donezo. It's crazy to think that this dish was made from strictly pantry goods. The meatballs actually held their shape after sitting in the hot sauce for 30 minutes or so. So yeah, that worked out. There you go. Now you're ready to take on the apocalypse in style. The cool part about this whole thing is you can use some of these easy techniques on like everyday food, like not just non-perishables. So you can use the panade we talked about to make your regular meatballs with ground meat more juicy. Or bolster a tomato sauce with wine and anchovies and sort of give it that simmered all day taste. When really it was out of a can. And yeah, I'm really no prophet, but I really don't think the end of days is anywhere too close to where we are now. Well, if it is, at least now you know how to cook a decent meal. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like it. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this if you are not already. To those of you already subscribed and following along, you rock, you are the best. Thank you for your support. For real though, thank you so much. And I will see all of you next time. Hopefully. Okay, I gotta go.